It should be.
Okay. I'd like to call to order the City White House Economic Development Corporation meeting for August 18th of 2022. The time is now 12 p.m. Susan, would you call us to order, please? Give us a roll call.
Don't give me one moment for this to populate. Okay. Bob Breedlove, Charles Parker.
Here.
Ernie LaFleur, John Chambers.
Here.
Maria Davenport. Here. Tom Trimble and Jerry Akins.
Here.
We barely have a quorum.
Okay. Item B, consent agenda. Any comments or any adjustments that need to be made to it that anybody found?
Looked good to me.
Okay. Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
We have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries. Item C, presentations. Do we have anything? Item D, public forum. Do we have anybody sign in?
No, sir.
Item E, agenda items. Item 1, discuss, consider, and approve the 2022-2025 work plan subcommittees as outlined in the plan that will assist both the short and long-term economic growth referenced in your report.
Members of the board, and included in your packet is an application outlining each of the 4 subcommittees, and again, an application for anyone interested to fill out. I was a little late getting this to you and didn't get it to you until we put it out in the packet. So we've only received 1 application. Jerry was able to round somebody up that would be interested in the business retention and expansion subcommittee. But she's out of town, and so hopefully when she gets back, she can finish filling out that application. But we have that ready for you, and I can send that to you under separate cover if there are people you can think of that you would think would be helpful on each of those committees. So I apologize for the delay in getting that out to you, but we have it ready now, so we can send that over to you later today.
Okay. I confess I haven't had time to think about it. Or work on it, or anything else, so, I think this is something that, we all need to, chip in a little bit here and at least give everybody, 2 names.
Now he's gonna get specific.
Yes, giving us homework.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So if you guys could come up with 2 names in the next, yeah. Matter of fact, in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Let's be specific. Let's, by the first of the month, if you can come up with 2 prospects for us to go with, I think that'd be great. And then that way we can, set this in motion.
Out of respect for those missing, shouldn't they have 4 names they need to come?
Well, that's the way it normally works. You were gone, so you have
Exactly.
Double the word.
double the work.
So, thinking Ernie and Bob lucked out.
2 names. And Tom.
And Tom.
Oh, that's right.
That'd be 6. Look at that.
On it. Solving problems.
So by September 1st. Okay. I'm halfway there.
And then be thinking about which committee you want to serve on as well.
Okay.
I'll serve on whichever one doesn't get a volunteer.
That's sort of what I was thinking too, but I
Yeah,
was
so
like,
put me where you need me. That's fine.
yeah. Okay. What else on this topic of this? Because the subcommittees drive this thing, so. So
So how is that gonna work for the subcommittees? I mean, is there gonna be a ramrodder? Or is it gonna be Mr. Mullins or Leslie?
So what I anticipate is that we will have at least one staff member assigned to each subcommittee. And I would anticipate that each subcommittee will meet regularly, whatever that means, and start working on those tasks that are identified under each of those. The 3 staff members are pretty, we love a good list and we love to attack a good list, so I think that'll help drive
That's
it.
very good.
But I would anticipate probably virtual meetings for the subcommittees, no less than once a month. If we're gonna be able to really drive things, maybe even more frequently than that, maybe every other week, to really make sure that we're keeping things moving forward. So, that's kind of what I'm anticipating, but that's just me. I don't know that y'all have talked about it as a group, but.
No, we haven't, but I kind of think that's imperative that they meet regularly, and again, since it's not a quorum situation and they're only making recommendations to us, they can meet wherever they need to via Zoom meetings or phone conference or whatever else. And so, you know, the meetings don't have to be long. I mean,
Right.
they literally can meet for 15, 20 minutes, discuss an agenda topic and keep moving forward. So, and I think that's the sales point that we need to use when we start talking about people being on the subcommittee, is that it's not gonna be a time drainer. Because normally the people that you get to volunteer are the busiest people that are out there anyway. It's a fact of life. Any other thoughts or observations? No? Oh, okay. All right. So item 2 is discussion and planning of the September TABA Business After Hours event and review of the August TAB Business After Hours event. I thought it was a very positive event last time. I don't know. I talked to some people, and I do think that there are some prospects that we gained out of that. I think it was good to get our name out there, and
What do you mean by prospects?
people that are interested in doing things inside of our city. I consider all of that a prospect. I talked to somebody about a potential bank location. I talked to a couple of developers who were interested in, some more retail type construction, and one developer on the home side of things that would like to look at some property further. I don't know if any of them have followed up with city staff or not yet, but I think by the time this next meeting rolls around, I think maybe we'd be able to really solidify some of those leads and maybe pick up a few more. I think we were well received.
I think so.
Did you do a formal presentation to everybody?
I wouldn't call it formal.
But you stood up and,
You said all the right things.
oh, okay. Awesome.
I gave a very short speech about where we are, what we're doing, why we're here, what we're trying to do, where we'd like to go, and how we need their help to get there.
Awesome.
I mean,
You
that's
did say all the right things.
just pretty much the who, what, when, where, and why.
Yeah.
That's it, and I did it very short, sweet. 3 minutes, 4 minutes? I mean, just rolled through it very quickly. When you're in a meeting like that, the one-on-one networking is the key part of it, and then, whatever's said is to the group is just sort of a summary of it and that type of thing. So, I did find a couple of developers who had some challenging experiences in the past, and were willing to come back and give us another look. So I thought that was very encouraging. Like anything else, when you have a bad experience 25 years ago, that's not applicable to today, and so, but, when it comes to developers and people that are spending their money, they tend to have really long memories. So.
And see, that's what this retention survey is gonna help alleviate too, because we can when we survey all the businesses and find out their old gripes, you know, put those to rest, and then I think that'll be very helpful.
Maria, what did you think? You were,
I thought it was good, and from what they were saying, they had one of the largest turnouts that they've had in a while.
Really? That's exciting.
It was a good crowd.
real good crowd. I think the giveaways were great.
Stephanie did a great job
I thought she
putting
did a super
all
job.
of it together.
Super job with that. The mayor showed up, that was good. You know, I just really felt like that we put a good face on the city, and we didn't screw up.
My favorite part, though, was White House is open for business.
That's what I
Oh,
said.
that's good. I like that.
That's what I said. I'm trying to think what else. I think we want to continue that message at this next meeting, and reinforce that. But I'd like to hear from you guys, other than White House is open for business, what other things should we maybe focus on that we didn't, last time?
I have a question. The large turnout, do you think that was driven by a change in venue? Do you think that was driven by a particular interest in White House itself? What do you think was the reason behind that?
The venue was the same as where they normally hold it, which is at their location. This one was at
Oh, okay.
TABA's location. The next one will be at Oak Crossing over
Really?
at Jasper Ventures.
Yeah.
So it's the same location. I don't really know.
She said it really just varies.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Maybe it was the giveaways.
I think it was, personally, I think people were curious.
Could be.
I think there was a lot of curiosity there. I also think it's really hot for this last meeting, and so people, all the construction people, because a lot of the ones that are members are not your developers. They're not, you know, we had a few of those there, but a lot of these guys are workers or they're actual builders or whatever, and so they've been wrapping up their day by 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and not working in the heat of the day. So the idea of being able to get off work, go to a venue and have a cold beverage was very appealing, with some food and being able to talk shop and whatever else.
So we need to do some more of that. Make sure that it's hot and make sure that our libations are cold.
Yeah.
I think those are important ingredients. And I'll also add that, what's the lady's name that runs everything?
Stephanie.
Libby. Libby runs a tight ship,
Yes, she does.
and when she's ready for everybody to go, she just comes out and says, "Y'all need to go." And she turns off the lights and closes the garage door, and there you go.
That's it.
And if you weren't there, Stephanie had put together kind of a slide deck that was playing throughout the event
Oh,
that had
nice.
demographic information, school information. Yeah.
A message from Charles.
So we'll probably
That is
recycle
good.
that for the
Yes.
next event as well. So
Love that. Can I email you and ask for a copy of that, or is it in PDF form? I'd love to see it.
we can email it out to everybody when I send out the committee applications.
Okay, awesome.
I don't know what our turnout, I would expect it to be less for the one here.
Really?
Is the Jasper Ventures that small little road next to the train tracks behind the Valvoline? Just like,
No.
No,
That's it, but it's not the main entrance.
yeah, that's, yeah.
where is the main entrance then?
It's
off of.
Right in front of my house.
Glenda.
On Glenda, 2 streets up,
Uh-huh.
behind the wreck. It goes dead end to it.
You go through the neighborhood and it dead ends into their property.
Oh, good, okay.
It's a really nice venue.
Yeah, I was looking on the map, zooming in, I was like, where are we having this thing?
Yeah.
And I saw that little golf trail and thought
Yeah,
that was the
yeah,
entrance, I was
yeah,
like,
it's off of Glenda.
really?
Yeah,
You
Okay.
do drive through a neighborhood and think that you're going the wrong direction.
Okay,
Yeah.
Did not expect a $10 million facility back there.
right. And their conference room and everything is very nice. It's very, very, very nice.
And they're gonna set up a meeting area for them separate from our, so that the executive board can meet before I was talking this morning about it.
very
I'll
cool.
bring it in.
And we can invite people separately in our own right? Or-
Like-
They need to be TABA members.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure they do, yeah.
They have to be TABA members, gotcha.
They need to be TAB members, or they need to be a part of this board, or, you know, the city, I think. In other words, it's not open to the general public.
No.
Yeah, we would have to supply caterings.
Yeah. And who is the caterer this time?
Mr. Taco's
Mr.
gonna
Taco.
catering food, and then Taba's gonna provide all the beverages.
Right. Super cool. I don't know, I'm just trying to figure out if there's any, if there are any other points that we need to be focusing on.
So one thing I do think we need to do, you know, we had to do the giveaways, we had people drop a business card. We need to follow up with those people somehow. I think we may, Stephanie and I kind of briefly talked about it, but didn't really decide on anything, I don't think. So we'll need to figure out a way just to email them a thank you for coming, or, you know, keep us in mind. Here are a few key contacts with the city if you want to talk about a project, some of those kind of things. So, just to kind of make sure we're staying at the forefront. We may try to, what's the date? Six.
Which is the day after the holiday.
So we may try to put something out next week for those contacts that we have. Invite them again to come to the next event.
I don't know.
Well, open for business is a broad category, and that's what they're looking for. The friendly reception of the city elders and,
Well, I did point out to him that no other city is doing this, you know, and when you start trying to do business with the city of Tyler, they have a lot of hoops that you jump through. And they have committees of committees, and, you know, it's a complicated process. And while other cities certainly are working and growing and doing different things, you know, we're the only ones out there actively soliciting and, you know, encourage you to come talk to us and work with us and figure things out. So, I mean, I think that's a good message.
I think so too.
So when we talk about like commercial developers, is there something equivalent to TABA for more commercial?
So, kind of. You have like the International Council on Shopping Centers, so that's ICSC, is a really big, well-known, they do some huge kind of trade show type things where a lot of cities go and try to attract. That's probably the biggest, most well-known one. The others are gonna be, that I can think of, are more sectored out by industry, I guess. So you would have, restaurant associations, you have some of those types of things.
So let me ask another question. So my assumption is that in this area, private equity groups are kind of responsible for a majority of the local development. And probably those equity groups have some type of location. How can we approach those private equity groups systematically?
I would think one of the things that we should probably look at as our next venture is we need to contact some of the larger commercial real estate folks.
Real estate?
And because some of those firms, like, they will contract with a local person, or the local people here may know or have access to, different firms that are looking to do things. And I think soliciting them and helping them to understand what we have available, so that it's on their mind when they have a client or whatever prospect call them. I think that would probably be the biggest thing, because the private equity groups are gonna contact a local person because they're gonna know the market better.
Yeah, so I guess that's what, so TABA, I understand that some number of the developers are just local developers. My assumption is that some amount of them are actually driven by money that's not just theirs. And I'm interested in how do we go back a layer and get conversations with those people.
Well, again, there were some developers there.
Understood.
Yeah.
So so the developer is hiring the worker bees, the builders at the local level. But I'm saying a developer can be self-funded, and I assume Butch is probably one such type. And then there's the other ones that are part of a bigger equity group or holding, and they would probably have that real estate connection, but I don't know. I'm just curious if this area, if there's a way to reach them, because you drive through Tyler and you see such and such holdings, or who are they? How do we get to them?
So.
In Houston, that's where all the money is, just so you know.
So there are a couple of different ways. Right now, it's mainly relationship based, right? I'm trying to set up a meeting now with a really large equity group in the Tyler area. But it's strictly relationship based. He knows the people that developed the Starbucks, heard that went well, at least from our end, not necessarily from the contractor end. And so that kind of opened the door for a conversation that hopefully we can set up a meeting with, and whether it's today or 10 years from today, we just make sure we're at the forefront of their mind. But you can also, it's hard for an entity our size to really even get in the door with those big equity firms. There are companies like the Retail Connection that for a very small fee will, if they take you on as one of their clients in their discussions with those equity groups, because they already have those connections, can help market your community. But they're marketing, they may be marketing 20 small communities our size, but at least your name is being put out there and you're being heard. So I think there are a couple of different options.
Would that be a future agenda item?
It could be. I think that'd be a great thing for the attraction and marketing subcommittee to really talk about and
Gotcha.
research what all the options are, and make that recommendation.
That's good. Thank you.
Yeah, we're really we're close on that agenda item. I'll just say it that way. But it's a good question, and it is something that I do think that the subcommittee, because there's a lot I would like to add to this, conversation, but we're gonna get in trouble for not following the agenda. That's the pesky problem with, yeah. You know, I wish we could have agenda item, talk about whatever you want to.
So I do think we can have maybe a recurring item that is discussed and updates on the 2022-2025 program of work. And we may just keep that on the agenda to allow.
I am
some
gonna tie this
conversations.
back into it. One of the things that I heard in talking to one of the developers was, on the commercial side, was our challenges going north. And, not already having water and sewer, north 110. And so, and I explained some ways that we could overcome those to the developers and that, but it is something that, I think when you start talking about all that clear land, and then some of them brought up, I don't know, one guy told me, he said, you know, if you guys could just build a concrete flume down Hill Creek. I'm like,
Yeah, if
do
only.
you have the $50 million it would take just to get started? Yeah, and, you know, and I was trying to explain to him, 504 permits and not touching creek beds and, you know, all of the hassles that go with that, and, you know, but that is certainly a challenge for us, because I do think we would have more retail interest up that way as well as other business, but that infrastructure is an issue, as well as the flooding and the creek bed and all the other things that tie into that, so.
I just didn't know if there was anything in the TABA agenda that could specifically help us, you know, gain entrance to that secondary level of conversation. So, that was the
I understand.
consideration.
I
That was the
understand.
discussion, so.
I understand. I changed gears
Yeah.
and went
Yeah.
to recap of the conversation that I
Yeah.
had during the meeting.
Yep.
So, I don't know if staff has any ideas on addressing that concern. My comment back to the guy is that, well, if we had a big enough developer, then they could probably come in there and fix some of that, and the city would be, more than willing to work with trying to figure out how to make the sewer and water work.
Definitely think it's gonna take a pretty big partner.
Yeah.
To help fund anything up north.
With some pretty big incentives for that partner.
It's gonna have to be pretty mutually beneficial, because it's gonna be costly. Anytime you start doing anything with floodplain, you're talking federal, regulations and agencies, and so it becomes costly, timely. Yeah. Water and sewer, you know, that's the easy part.
That we can figure that out.
Yeah, we can figure that part out. It's the floodplain issues that almost grind everything to a halt on that, so.
Okay, anybody got anything else on this next meeting? With the TABA?
I get to go to this one. I was out of state for the other one.
Good.
Good. Okay, hearing nothing else, I guess we'll go to item 3, consider future agenda items. Obviously, item 1 would be back on there for the subcommittees. I don't know, what else? Item 2 would be back on
Yeah,
there.
a recap. Mhm.
What else?
I don't know for now.
Okay. Item F, administrative reports.
Members of the board, the financial statement was included in your packet. Sales tax continues to trend higher than ever before. So that's great news. A couple of other things though, not financially related. Frontier was at the city council meeting on Tuesday and reported that they are anticipating connecting 4,000 homes in the White House area to fiber within the next 3 to 4 months. So we have received engineering comments back from the city's engineer on their first round of permit applications, and so we'll be sending those back over to their contractor. But that was some really exciting news. They are ready to go. Well, I mean, they have to address the comments from the engineer, but they're chomping at the bit. So,
That other internet,
Vexus, is that what you're talking about?
no, they just put a hub in right next to the Wildcat Mart.
Vexus.
Vexus, is that who it is? Okay.
But that hub is not going to be there.
Oh,
It's what?
It won't be there. They're having to move it.
Wow.
Okay.
there was some issue with private versus public property
Oh.
there. But Vexus, they were at the TABA event and indicated, oh yeah, by the end of next year, we'll be serving some of your
too late.
customers. And that's what I said, oh, that's too late.
We're lined up for Christmas.
Yeah. I said, we've got somebody else coming in sooner. I wish you guys were ready to move forward faster, but they're not. But that's okay. One of the goals of doing the fiber feasibility study was increase competition so that our customers could choose. And so if they're not happy with whatever provider, the more options, the better, we feel like. So, but anyway, that was great news that came out of the council meeting. They did adopt the budget and tax rate for the upcoming year. So that was great news. We have a lot of great things going on. If you haven't seen that little report we put out on Tuesday night, we've got a lot of stuff coming up in the next fiscal year that's exciting that we're glad the EDC is going to be a part of. So
Lots of news on TV.
I know we're going to do another one today, 2 more today. So yep.
Look out, Tyler. White House is getting big for its britches.
Well, I like the way we're planting seeds, and that takes time to do that. I like the fact that we have our plan. We need to get the subcommittees, get this thing started. And I realize it's been summertime and vacations and everybody's busy, but, and I appreciate city staff for all the great things that y'all have done, and looks like the budget process went relatively smoothly.
we did. We have the lowest debt rate that we've had in at least 10 years, maybe I'm sure longer. That's just as far as I went back. So
It's good.
It's really good.
a lot of great work by the council and councils before. So
Okay. So, we don't have anything for executive session, right? Anybody got anything else that they would like to add? Otherwise, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think Scooters is planning to open September 26th, around that date.
Into September, I just remembered.
Yeah, end of September, so.
What are they even doing? What are they?
Coffee.
Food? Oh.
More coffee, we're gonna all be highly
Oh my
caffeinated.
gosh, we're gonna need it with all this work.
We're gonna be hyper. And it looks like a lot of progress up there. We're Whataburger and
Got a roof out here.
Got a
roof.
Oh.
Yes.
Super exciting.
Yeah.
so that's good news. Anyway, time is now 12:34. We are adjourned.
That was fast.
Quick meeting. And if I hadn't talked so much, I'd ended 10 minutes ago.
Once we get subcommittees.
I
swapped
noticed
out.
Starbucks has changed their route to get in and out.
We took them a couple of cones and
Did
highly
you?
suggested that they